following is a presentation of HBO Sports. Few reach the peak of their profession. Even fewer stay there. But after 6 Super Bowl titles and 6 national championships, a pair of football coaches have established themselves at the very top of their business. The remarkable dominance of Bill Belichick and Nick Saban is well known. But few know the details of their close friendship, or that for nearly 40 years, they've met annually to catch up, share insight, and exchange ideas. The meetings have never been filmed, recorded, or chronicled in any way. Until the spring of 2019, when the coaches opened up their annual conversation to our cameras.
Congratulations.
What do Belichick and Saban talk about when they're alone together?
Thank you. Got a lot of drinking to do there, I'll say.
One can never be completely sure.
Good. So where you want us here?
All right. So what?
You want me
So
here?
how about if we just give us a few minutes, Kenny, just so we can kind of get caught up here.
This is on what you're going to talk about.
Well, yeah, just yeah. So
All right, let's cut the cameras off.
yeah. So why don't you just give us a few minutes privately? All right.
You want us out of here?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. You got it.
No one ignores Coach Belichick. But as the crew left Nick Saban's office, one unmanned backup camera remained on.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Good. Thanks for
It was a hell of a
calling.
damn year.
Yeah. We
You
played
guys
good.
played your ass off on defense in that last game.
This last third of the season, we played good. We were shitty for 2/3 of the year, but then it kind
You
of came
guys-
together.
Are you guys? I was trying to watch. Are you still playing like some 3-4 stuff, but mostly out of a lot of sync, but different guys dropping and?
You'd think the conversation captured would be personal in nature,
Get any of these guys.
but that wasn't the case.
All the 3-4 linebackers
What did they want privacy for?
played for able
To just start talking ball.
guys because they can't rush good enough.
What we had happen to us, we gave up 3 returns this year. Now, we scored a lot of points. So the first 6 kickoffs, the guy fair catches it. All right, so about the 7th one, nobody's running down the field like they're supposed to.
Right.
And then a guy doesn't fair catch it, and you get your ass busted.
Right.
I mean,
See, it's the same thing on that. The guys go back in the end zone and they go like this, like
Right.
they're calling off the return. They do that like 4 times, and then boom, they come right out. And I see it's going to be a touchback.
Eventually, the crew was let back in. The rest of the cameras were turned on, and the football talk continued. For 4 hours in Saban's University of Alabama office, and then at his home. The coaches discussed their shared history, their football philosophy, and how they're still ready to defeat anyone, make that everyone, who'd like to knock them from the summit of coaching.
there's a lot of people in the world that will take the challenge to climb the mountain.
Yes.
All right, but when you get to the top of the mountain, you become the mountain
Yeah.
because everybody's shooting at you to
Yep.
be who you are.
But the great ones can get to the top of the mountain and say, you know what? I can be even better.
For Alabama head coach Nick Saban, today is a day to showcase his players ahead of the NFL draft. For the Patriots' Bill Belichick, it's a research trip, a day to scout potential rookies for his team.
Welcome back to the Malmore Athletic Facility as you see the 2 best to have ever done it, Nick Saban and Bill Belichick, exchanging pleasantries and maybe some knowledge.
And what are the 2 inside backers doing?
Well, the way we do it is
How cool is this, though? You're seeing the greatest college football head coach and the greatest NFL head coach talking football one-on-one
So it's inside back of plugging.
I just want to know so bad what they're talking about.
Imagine how great of TV that would be.
So Nick, other than Williams, like, who's the best player here?
Best player. Junior Williams and the defensive line are the best players.
John at tackle or anywhere?
I think he can play anywhere. One thing that you do that a lot of the NFL guys don't do. I don't know that you've ever picked one of our players that you never talked to me before you picked them. And there's a few other guys in the league that do that. But then there's another 30 teams that I never hear from, and they pick somebody, and I'm saying, how could they pick that guy, you know, or whatever. You know, and then they come back and say, well, we didn't know this. Well, all you had to do was call, you know. I would have told you the good stuff and would have told you any issues. I'm an and but guy. So whatever comes behind and is usually good, and whatever they give this great recommendation and then you get but, it's never, ever not been correct. Whatever comes behind but usually isn't good, and it always turns out that it's there.
Mm-hmm. It's one piece of the puzzle. I mean, it's a 100-piece jigsaw puzzle. Here's like 2 pieces of his pro day, and then you've got all the games, all the tape, all the football that they've played, and, you know, I mean, how much is a vertical jump? How much is a bench press?
Yeah, the combine.
I mean, it's
a show now.
Yeah.
I mean, we've commercialized just about everything. And, you know, college football is getting more and more that way as well. Because that's not really what it's supposed to be about, but that's what it's becoming.
No surprise, both coaches are old school. Nick Lou Saban Jr. was born on Halloween Day, 1951 in Fairmont, West Virginia, just down the road from the family service station and the ball fields now dedicated to his father. Less than 6 months later, William Stephen Belichick was born in Nashville, Tennessee, though he'd grow up on the grounds of the Naval Academy, where his father was a coach for the football team. It was almost as if little Billy Belichick and young Nicky Saban shared a blood kinship.
Nick and I are both proud of the fact that we're Croatian, and there aren't all that many Croatians around, so somewhere along the line we're probably related distantly. There's got to be a brotherhood there somewhere, at least cousins.
I think there's a lot of similarities. Now, whether it comes from lineage or something else, I really don't know. I always thought we sort of thought a little bit alike.
We got people that would train them to play the saxophone or the piano at a very early age. Both of these guys were born and grew up to be a head football coach.
Bill was an only child, and he was going to that football office with his dad, and at an early age he was watching films and doing little projects. With Nick, his father was a perfectionist in terms of the service station and having to wash cars and make sure everything was just so before that car went off the lot. I think both clearly wanted to please their fathers.
My dad was a coach. He coached Pop Warner, he coached American Legion Baseball. He never went to college, but he was a really good coach. So the elements of all the things that I believe in as a coach were instilled in me when I was 10 years old playing Pop Warner football. Your dad was a coach, and I'm sure that impacted, you know, how you grew up a little bit, because, you know, some of the way that you try to get players to play with discipline, pay attention to detail, prepare the right way, you know, best effort and all that, whether it was school or whatever. I mean, I was getting impacted by that every day.
Right.
And sometimes it seemed like nothing was ever good enough.
Right.
I broke up with my girlfriend, or really she broke up with me. I mean, and I was probably 15 or 16 years old. So I was kind of in a bad mood, I guess you would say, to put it mildly. So I'm working at the service station and not treating the customers right. So he said, you know, what's wrong with you today? And I said, well, I broke up with my girlfriend. And he said, so you don't have a girlfriend now? I said, no, I don't have a girlfriend anymore. He said, well, if you keep acting the way you're acting today, you're not going to have a job. All right, because as your boss, I'm going to fire you. And the second thing, as your father, I'm going to kick your ass. That's one that I remember. And I straightened up quickly.
Stop feeling sorry for yourself.
That's right. So, but he was right. I mean, really, he was right.
You know, I didn't feel like my dad was ever, he was just fair. But when I did the wrong thing, he didn't spare anything, and I deserved it. I wouldn't say it was overly harsh. I thought he was harsh on the football field. Well, a lot of compliments, but he made them better, and he cared about them. Certainly there was some tough love there.
No doubt.
Like fathers, like sons.
How can we let a guy come out here like that? Hey, Ben, go back in the locker room, man. You got your knees covered?
Get out and get your knee pads on. That includes you, morons.
It's a horrible release, 21. Horrible. Not bad, all right? Not average. Horrible.
Don't be doing that arm over. You're too short for that. Just keep it right there. Yes, sir. Right there.
Come on, Nick Perry, get your elbow up and throw the ball. What'd you do when you were a kid? Play Nintendo?
Jake, this, not this.
Your hands are back here, man. Might as well stick them up your ass.
Give it to us again. Give it to us again, please. On the ball.
Run it again.
I can't stand it. Run it again. Huddle up and run it again, Brady.
You know, a lot of those things you didn't understand. You know, why do I have to do this? You know, I mean, just like players say, we won the game, why do we have to do this over and correct it? Well, it's because it wasn't right.
Make yourself do it right. Just don't be talking about what we're going to do. Do it.
Belichick and Saban's collegiate days provided lessons that helped define the men the rest of their lives. Though for Belichick, who played center at Wesleyan University, the classroom subject matter was no source of inspiration.
You know, I majored in economics. I'd struggle to say that that's really helped me. I think the biggest thing that I learned in college wasn't the material, it was how to solve problems and how to think, and how to come up with your own idea and solution to the problem. That's really what our job is. My job, I feel like, is there's problems every day, and you gotta, what are my options? Are there any variables, or do I just have these options? And pick the best one and figure out how to implement it.
There's 30 seconds to go. They have no timeouts. We're up by a touchdown or a field goal. What's going to happen, Kevin? They're going to onside, all right? There's 2 minutes to go. They got 3 timeouts. We're up by a field goal. What's going to happen? Could be a deep kick. Could be an onside. That's right. So we're playing everything. All right, let's say we're up by 17 points. It's the start of the fourth quarter. We're up by 3 scores, start of the fourth quarter. We put the hands team out there because I don't know what they're going to do, all right? Now, what would they do? Bubba, what would you do if you were down by 17, start of the fourth quarter, and they put their hands team out there? Where would you kick it? Kick it deep. Now, what if they put their regular kickoff return team out there? What might you think about doing? Maybe onside it against that group. So if we got the hands team out there in a situation like that, we need to be ready to what? Return a deep kick. All right? Okay, let's go to work here. I got 30 seconds, no timeouts. We're up by...
As Belichick was mastering problem solving, Saban was a defensive back, studying the complexity of the human mind at Kent State University.
I had a minor, they called it, in sports psychology. And that's the thing that really spurred my interest in the mindset and the mental conditioning part of what you have to do to be successful.
So it's a mindset when we're running 10 yards. Do you run 8 or do you run 10?
We're running 20, do you run 19 or do you run 20? We're running 60, do you run 58 or do you run 60? It's a mindset. It's a habit that you create. It's not really about what you want. It's about what you're willing to do to get it. And in that, maybe you have to give something up that may not be a good habit to replace it with a better habit. Whether it's how you recover, how you sleep, how you dissipate. Everybody got to make that decision. So it's not just about what you want. It's about what are you willing to do to get it. That's what it all comes down to, guys.
Neither had enough talent to play in the pros. But after graduation, they both found jobs in football. Belichick as a coaching assistant with the Baltimore Colts, Saban as a graduate assistant, then defensive coach at Kent State. They were low men on the totem pole, in a time where there were no shortcuts to the top.
One of the things that I value the most is when I was a young coach coming up as a GA or whatever, we didn't have the technology.
No.
All right, so Terry still gets mad at me for this, I used to have to drive to Pittsburgh to get the film of the game developed, stay there while they developed it, drive back all night, and then sit and cut it up in offense, defense, and special team. Mm-hmm. And had to paste it back together, the film. And then when we did cut-ups, we had those great big garbage cans.
Yep.
All right, and you took, okay, this is undercover one. You put a piece of tape on it, said undercover one, and you stuck it in the wastebasket, and every undercover one over cover 3 was over here. But you had to know everything about everything to be able to do that.
When I was with the Colts in '75, we did the ice picks. So each play on one card and then punch out the holes for whatever.
I remember that.
Right.
Yeah.
So when Maxie Ball would say to me, give me all the plays with Y motion. Boom, stick the ice pick in Y motion. They all fall out. Here's the plays right here. And let's look at what happened on each play. It was tedious. But you know what? You learn the game. Now it's like rushing to do the most important work, the breakdown work, right, so we can get the other stuff. And it always drives me crazy, too. We get on the plane after a loss, and I walk on the plane, I look at and a lot of times the coaches will be there, on their computer and everything. And I'm like, fellas, the reason why we got beat is because we can't tackle, and we can't force the run. Right. Like, all the rest of this is a bunch of garbage. This isn't about a computer, get into some space world technology. We can't tackle.
And it trains a different type of guy to be a coach.
Right, right.
Because now you can be in technology. Right? If you're really smart on computers and all that, you may not know the first thing about coaching a football player or a technique, but you can rise in the world because you're really good at all that. So you put a lot of information together, but yet you couldn't teach the quarterback how to take a snap.
They are teachers at heart, each deriving satisfaction, not to mention success, by passing on their defensive knowledge to their quarterbacks.
I thought this was another good kind of man-for-man situation all the way around. I mean, this is a big principle of their defense. This is a change call, however they do it.
One of the most difficult things for the defense is when the play on offense does break down. When you step up, the pass rush lanes have to be perfect or...
It's wide open.
Right.
But just put the pressure on them every week as to how they're going to defend these 4 open formations.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, defensively, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It really is. It's
anytime you get that Sam linebacker walked out that far, and then the Mike walked out outside that, they don't want to be there.
No, exactly.
This is really a tough play to talk about because we really don't execute what we're supposed to do. We really don't have this guy blocked.
Yeah, this is almost like a lucky play, I guess. The defender's back was towards Judy, so I thought Judy would have a chance if I throw him up.
Makes sense.
And now I know it's risky, but I don't think I did it again throughout the season.
When he was just a few years older than his quarterback is today, Saban left Kent State for Syracuse, then went on to West Virginia and Ohio State, while Belichick coached in Baltimore, Detroit, Denver, and with the New York Giants. Then in 1982, their paths crossed for the first time when Saban took a new position in Annapolis.
When I coached at the Naval Academy, Bill's dad was still a coach, there, and we were actually office partners. We shared an office.
Mr. Steve Belichick was somewhat of a father figure. He had had a lot of experience, and he took time with Nick and talked to him and explained things. And we actually stayed at their house quite a few nights while we were still trying to find a home. And that's when we met Bill.
Bill used to come home in the summertime, visit his parents, and stayed there for a couple weeks or whatever. And we just kind of naturally, same age, same young guys trying to come up in the business, we just sort of naturally started, talking ball and getting to know each other and became kind of friends.
In 1983, Saban joined a new staff under George Perlis at Michigan State, where he was named the defensive coordinator. That same year, the Giants made Bill Parcells their head coach, and Belichick soon became their defensive coordinator. It was Nick Saban who got a head coaching job first. In 1990, for the University of Toledo Rockets, he promptly led them to a MACco championship.
I'm proud as hell of them. They should be proud of themselves. They've accomplished a lot. They've come a long way as a football team. I think it's, their ability to sustain and win in the fourth quarter and, play like we've played in the second half of games is a real tribute to their work ethic and their work habits. And now it's going to pay off, at least for them, to have a co-championship.
Later that season, Bill Belichick's defensive game plan held the NFL's best offense to just 17 points in Super Bowl 25, making him the hottest head coach candidate in the NFL.
Defense a big part of this victory. You gotta love it.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. We worked a long time for this one and hard. It's satisfying as hell.
Soon, the two young masters in the art of coaching would join forces.
Bill Belichick became the 10th coach in Browns history today. Bill, at the age of 38, became the youngest coach in the league by 6 years.
When I got the Cleveland job, I always kind of had Nick in the back of my mind. I felt like he would be a great defensive coordinator. So he's the first call I made. And, obviously it was a tough choice for him because he had just taken the Toledo job.
It was hard to leave after 1 year, the relationships at Toledo and all that. But my goal was to be a head coach either at a major school in college or potentially in the NFL. So what Bill convinced me of was, do you best make that move from being successful at Toledo as the head coach, or do you do it best if you're a coordinator in the NFL and you have success and build a good program?
It was a difficult decision. As much as we loved Bill and, the lure of the NFL, it was tough. If anyone else had called, there would not have been a consideration. But because it was Bill, it made a lot of difference.
Nick was the first coach I hired and the best coach I hired. Nick was really my number one partner there. And I had tremendous confidence in Nick on every level.
Or whatever, but we spent an hour and a half on the field. Really, I think we'd be better served to be doing other things.
We're going to put the backer here and the back here.
Plenty came out of Belichick and Saban's partnership in Cleveland, including a simple three-word philosophy that rings loudly to this day.
Do your job. All right, don't try to make too much out of it. Just do your job.
Let's go. Come on, do what you're supposed to do. Do your job. Let's
Look,
go.
fellas, it's just about doing our job. Just cover your man. Do what you're supposed to do.
trying to make too many plays, and we're not doing what we're supposed to do.
Do your job is a core belief within the Belichickian program. You know, everybody hears that slogan, but, you know, and they think they can copy it. Just like, you know, you and I think we can go online and steal Emerald's recipes and cook them the same, right? You know, that doesn't work, right? It's hard to do your job if you don't know what your job is. Belichick defines what your job is.
One of the things that I like most about working for you, I knew exactly what to expect. I knew exactly what you expected from me. And I worked other places, and that was never, ever clearly defined. You know, it's amazing to me how many people work with or for someone, and it's just assumed that they know what you'd like for them to do. And I thought, whether it was the players that we brought to the team, the people that worked in personnel, or whatever, you defined for them, and then you let them do their job, whatever it was. But the players could all see that if we'd all done exactly what we were supposed to do on this play,
we'd be all right.
We'd be all right.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've tried to take away so that we get that in our building.
I mean, if we don't play our ass off, they'll beat us.
Oh, I agree. I think we got to do everything we can to get our team to the highest level we can this week. Pull out all stops, you know, whatever they are.
Belichick and Saban's first 3 years in Cleveland were a long, often painful process. From 1991 to 1993, the Browns were just 20-28. But the defense steadily improved.
This one is intercepted. Frank Minifield picks it off.
And there were valuable lessons acquired along the way.
The veteran corner with a diving interception.
One of the things that I really learned from you when we were in Cleveland is how to utilize your personnel that you have on your team, not asking guys to do things that they can't, and try to adapt things so that the players that you have the best chance to excel. You know, that's one of the things that I learned from being a pro coach that I think has helped me tremendously in college. Is when I was a college coach before I went in the NFL, you coach every guy the same. So if they could backpedal like you wanted to backpedal or play bump and run, they had the right personality, different personality types, some guys you didn't jihad with, so you just didn't play them.
Right.
But when you coach in the NFL, as soon as the owner pays them, they're going to play.
You find a way to coach them.
All right, so you got to find a way to coach them. And you coach a lot of different personalities. You coach a lot of different styles. Mm-hmm. I mean, remember when we first started in Cleveland, we had Minifield and Walls. They couldn't be two more different style of players. Both very, very good in how they played corner, but they were completely opposites.
Totally.
So I had to learn how to coach both guys.
It wasn't easy. It was a grind. You know, day after day, after week, after year, and it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And Nick was right there doing it with me.
Belichick wants a timeout to talk to his defense. That's Nick Saban, the defensive coordinator, along with him.
The year before Belichick and Saban arrived in Cleveland, the Browns gave up the most points in the NFL. 4 years later, in 1994, they gave up the fewest. It had taken time, but the two coaches had built a playoff contender, one that went the distance with the two-time defending champion Cowboys in Week 15.
10 seconds to play in this football game.
Aikman straight back in the pocket, looks, end zone. To Novacek, but he's not in. He's down at the 1-yard line. 3, 2, 1. Browns have beaten the Cowboys.
A great win against a great team on the road, you know, at a critical point in the season. And kind of what we had worked for, you know, for 4 years.
And we had a lot of suffering, you know, that went into all that, too, to get to where we were. So I think that's why it was a big one for both of us.
Belichick and Saban guided the Browns to a playoff win that year. But it would be their final season together in Cleveland. In 1995, Saban was named head coach at Michigan State. And it's worth noting that his new staff didn't include any of Belichick's other assistants from Cleveland.
We've always had sort of a mutual respect for how we sort of take each other's people. And it's one thing that I always try to emphasize to the guys. What I have a tough time with, all right, is we've had however many guys that have worked here that are at Georgia, Tennessee, or whoever, wherever, is when they get those jobs, and in most cases you help them, that they have a hard time understanding why they can't take your people. You know, I'm going to help you get a job so that you can take what I've tried to build here and destroy the continuity of what I have. And it's amazing how some of the assistants don't understand why that's not a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm happy for the people that have worked hard for me to get opportunities. And I want to see them build their own program.
Right.
When they try to tear down our program, that's kind of where the line, I feel like, gets crossed. We've always had without really talking about it, we've always had that kind of respectful relationship there.
I know you don't do this and I don't do this, but some people hire coaches to do what they do.
Right.
You know, I've always hired coaches to do what we do.
Right.
Like, we have a new guy come in. I'm saying, we're not changing what we call stuff. We're not I mean, there's 100 guys in this building that already know all this. You're the only guy that doesn't, so you learn it. All right, and they have to be willing to be a part of the team and do things and buy into the way we do things here. I think you have to confront them and demand them, not in a negative way, but in a positive way, that so we're all singing in the same choir about the same things that are important.
All right, 70 degrees, sunny, 6-mile-an-hour wind. If we win the toss, we'll take the ball.
Like coin toss, I would be for taking the ball.
Let's get these guys in the game. Okay, not all at once, but let's get them in the game.
Got to substitute defensive linemen early in the game.
I'm worried about these guys having to go all the way.
If we don't do that now, we're going to run out of gas.
Be ready to play, but don't be surprised if you don't play.
We don't need to have issues with guys thinking they're going to play and they're not going to play, or vice versa.
And I don't want to have a problem with these screen passes.
We'll have a tough time if we can't control the line of scrimmage and stop the running against these guys.
And making sure that we're sound in our run force on the edge and are contained on the pass rush. You know.
So we got to be able to affect the quarterback.
The two coaches have long been masters of communicating their message.
Okay, that's it.
Just don't ask them to do it like a millennial.
Were we on snap face there when we were talking about that? Yeah, you know, I hate social media. And we get rid of it all whenever we can. You know, do things that you don't bring your phone, you just have a conversation, look at the person in the eye instead of texting back and forth. But it's the way of the world. I don't know, you guys deal with it more than we do, but it still comes back to fundamental relationships and communication. And there's no cell phones out there on the field. You better know what your teammate's doing. He better know what you're doing, or you're going to get beat.
Yeah, and I think that because of social media, they're getting a lot of their positive self-gratification by the communication they have without looking somebody in the eye, without developing a relationship with them. And I think that that's a critical part that they all need to develop, and you need to have a team.
No question. Who cares how many likes you get from 2,000 people you don't even know? There's 53 guys in the locker room. Those are the 53 that matter. And I don't know if that always gets through or not, but we keep pounding away, keep trying.
At the start of the millennium, neither Saban nor Belichick had to worry about social media yet. But in the year 2000, both faced the challenge of new coaching jobs. Saban at LSU and Belichick in New England. The Patriots were still in search of their first Super Bowl title.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Tempo, in and out of the huddle.
Step through, 2 steps.
And the LSU Tigers hadn't won a national championship in more than 40 years.
Hey, guys, don't turn to the guy. Just run right at me. Don't even look at him. Are you running at me, Holmes? You're running for the parking lot. run right at me. It's wrong with somebody.
Though they were 1,500 miles apart, both coaches went to work building a champion.
Come on, move! Quit walking around.
Fellas, you got to look, just relax, but you got to concentrate on what the hell you're doing, all right? Offensive football is execution and assignment football. Know your job, carry out your assignment, and get it done. We can't play like this, okay? 4 or 5, we run 12 plays, we got 4 bad ones. All right? Come on, fellas, let's go. You guys are better than that. Better than that.
We can be a lot better football team than what we are. And we got to have the attitude that we got to go try to get better as a team.
We got a long way to go. We got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of things we can do better.
I want everybody to make a decision and a commitment that that's what you want to do.
You just got to gut it out, battle through it for 4 quarters, and that's why we're New England Patriots.
We can do it, what we want to accomplish. Play more together, do the things we got to do, and every guy do his job. And the Patriots are Super Bowl champions!
In 2001, Belichick earned his first title as a head coach. Just 2 years later, Saban won his. Belichick soon added 2 more Super Bowl wins, celebrating each with the father who'd inspired him to be a coach.
Back-to-back world championships, 3 out of 4. Yes.
A decade after they'd worked tirelessly together in Cleveland, both Bill Belichick and Nick Saban were at the very pinnacle of their profession.
I remember sitting down in Nick's house in LSU, and, we just had dinner one night, and, Nick and I are sitting in there, just talking in the kind of study, and, Terry walks in and says, oh, well, look at this. Bill Belichick and Nick Saban, the 2 great football coaches. Boy, I bet a lot of people would like to eavesdrop on what you 2 guys are talking about. Wow, this is really something. I feel so blessed to be in your presence,
Wow. Here I am getting to witness this, the 2 of you great coaches visiting with each other. And they kind of blushed and, what, me?
That was a very, very humbling moment for us.
Well, it was a little sarcastic.
Bill Belichick and Nick Saban. Wow.
The coaching superstars had spent years as friends, colleagues, and even co-workers. But they had yet to be competitors.
It's my honor and privilege to introduce to you the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins, Nick Saban.
How do you feel about coaching against Bill Belichick at least twice a year?
Well, I had a little message on my phone before I came down here, and Bill and I have been very good friends. We met together almost each year in the off season in some kind of way to talk about football. I think that just because you compete against each other doesn't mean you still can't respect one another and be good friends. You compete and you enjoy the competition. But that doesn't mean you can't continue to have some kind of a relationship and friendship.
When you talk to Bill Belichick, and I don't think it's coach talk when he just says, I learned so much from Nick Saban, because they are different. Bill Belichick in his early days used to be a conservative coach. When they worked together in Cleveland, Nick Saban is aggressive, so they both kind of blended together, and they go out on this field today, and it's like coaching against your own guy.
When we talked to Saban, we asked him about back in December when he was thinking about taking the job. He talked to Belichick, and he said, Bill did say, I wish you weren't coming into the AFC East.
Life gets tougher when he's there, that's for sure.
Twice a year.
Belichick and Saban would face each other 4 times over 2 years. Their head-to-head record, 2-2.
To me, it was always really interesting because obviously they know each other really, really well. And how they were going to try to use guys and how they were going to game plan for specific weeks. And so now you have a chance to go against each other. Coach Saban would talk about Coach Belichick a lot. I think so much of what we were trying to build in Miami
Hey, nice job.
went back to his time with Coach Belichick in Cleveland.
And though the two coaches knew each other well, one could still spring a surprise on the other.
Doug Flutie will be out there in a very strange formation, trying for two. Or will it be a drop kick, perhaps? Drop kick for the extra point. It is up and in. Can you believe that?
Good Belichick. Last time a drop kick happened in the NFL, we were talking leather helmets.
Boy, the coach loved that.
What do you think about the drop kick?
Was good.
In his 2 seasons with Miami, Saban compiled a 15-17 record. And as it happened, his last Dolphins win came late in the 2006 season against his old friend.
I don't know if you want to expose Tom Brady to this. He's taken a beating all day long.
This has been a horrendous day for the Patriots.
What I remember about that game is we couldn't do anything. That was a long flight home. Plus, it's that stupid little locker room over there, which, I mean, it's like a third of the size of this office. We're hot, we're tired, we just got beat. You know, want to hit each over the head with a chair. But playing against you was hard. I mean, I remember sitting in those quarterback meetings with Brady, and, you know, it was different each week, and then we knew we were going to get something different. We tried to figure out what it was, and then we usually guessed wrong and couldn't, you know, and it was hard. So certainly one of the best days of my coaching career was the day you took the Alabama job. Got out of Miami.
I don't believe that.
At Tuscaloosa Regional Airport, it was just an enormous, unbelievable reception for Nick Saban.
It was a crazy day because I did not know what to expect. I don't think even he knew or my mom knew. We just got off that plane, and I don't know if there was like not a lot of security around there or what, but I mean, people rushed the plane. I was like, this is kind of cool. I mean, these people are that excited about him, and it makes me proud as a daughter to see that because I just see him as dad.
I can't tell you how pleased and honored I am to be your coach at the University of Alabama.
Having the opportunity to go to an Alabama who we saw as another LSU, where you come in, take over a program that's down, this is what it needs. If you want to be up here, we know what it needs to get up here.
We've had success at several stops in college coaching, and I'm hoping that this one is more successful than any of those. And if that's the case, I think I'll be remembered as a guy that created a legacy of being a pretty good teacher, pretty good person, and a guy that affected a lot of people's lives in a positive way. And I think that's how I'd like to be remembered.
All the way through. All the way through. That's it. Good. Good effort running. All right, but I just have one question. If you run the last one faster than you ran the other 5, what's holding you back? If you ran the last one faster than you ran the other 5, what's holding you back? Your talent is your greatest nemesis when it comes to your mindset, especially the young guys here who have talent. You've always been the best player on your team, and now all of a sudden you got to pay attention to detail and compete with people, and you don't really know how. So you can learn how. It's a choice. It's a decision that everybody can make. Don't let your talent be your nemesis.
In football, talent is maximized by effective teaching. Over the last 12 years, the Alabama Crimson Tide and the New England Patriots have been arguably the best coached teams in all of sports.
Let's go. We just put the ball here on the 16-yard line. Hustle up. Let's go. Come on, I'm the only one that ran down here. I'm the only one that ran down here. I get Medicaid in October. I get Medicaid.
You know, if you ask everybody, do you want to be number one? Everybody will raise their hand.
How old are you, 22? All right, I look 22, and you look 65. I mean, just based on body language.
Nobody says they want to come in second, but are they willing to do what the beasts do?
You all right, 22? How about some polished body language? Let's go.
Nobody motivates the tiger, but people, we have to try to motivate them to keep the killer instinct.
I'm getting fired up today, 19. If I decide to go near leg, near shoulder on somebody, it's going to be your little ass. I can tell you that right now.
All right, get off those dummies. You think this is? Get off those dummies. Take a knee if you're tired.
Come on, man, we don't sit on the field. You don't sit on the field.
Punch and pull. Don't drag the guy down. Just punch it and pull it.
Punch it out. Get it out. There you go. Get it out. Get it out. Three, we ain't faking nothing. Get the ball out.
All right, we're stumble bum. Stumble bum.
Come on, first day, stumble bum. Let's go get some receivers over here. Quit walking. Let's go. Why are we walking? Come on, stumble bum. Let's go. Come on. Hands down, get the ball. Hands down, get the ball. Punch it out, Udi. What are we doing?
After 100 times, we still do the same thing, like as if it hasn't been said 99 times before.
You want me to cover that guy? I didn't stretch today, but I will.
The most challenging thing to me is to keep the guys motivated, keep people wanting to be the best that they can be. You know, keep them choosing to do the things they need to do to be successful rather than doing what they feel like doing. You know, one of my favorite sayings is, you know, high achievers don't like mediocre people and mediocre people don't like high achievers.
Yeah, when my expectations are higher than the teams or an individual players, it's usually not going to work out.
I just can't get this team to play the way we need to play. I just can't do it.
Nobody's perfect.
Clemson will be declared kings of college football.
And perhaps no lesson in the art of coaching is more critical than to learn from your losses.
The Patriots will not be perfect. They were for 18 games, but not the 19th.
I tell our players all the time, good players can't overcome bad coaching. And with bad coaching, like we had last year in the Miami game, where we couldn't play defense for 7 seconds.
7-6 left, a miracle touchdown is the only thing that can save them.
New England's got Gronkowski down here.
Yeah, Gronkowski standing at about the 15-yard line.
He couldn't tackle anybody.
I don't care how good the players are. Bad coaching, they can't overcome it.
Belichick puts Gronkowski back there.
Well,
when he put his safety back there, Joe, the guy makes the tackle.
Yeah, Gronk tripped, didn't have great speed, and Kenyon Drake just outran him.
Belichick got outcoached.
There you go. At the very end, the last play, we got outcoached.
But that's a bad feeling. You never want to let your team down by after the game feeling like I didn't do a good enough job as a coach. So
that's always been one of the things that motivates me as a coach and also makes me feel really, really bad. Because sometimes you feel like you did a bad job as a coach.
No question.
That you didn't put your players in the best position, or you got fooled on something, or you weren't prepared for something.
Clock will be reset to 1 second. It'll be 1st and 10.
They're going to try a field goal?
This is the 3rd field goal he's attempted in his career. 56 yards on the way. No, returned by Chris Davis. Davis goes left. Davis gets a block. Davis has another block. No flags.
It was a terrible way to lose a game. Terrible way to lose a game. There was a timeout where we could go over this. Look, guys, it's a long field goal. They're going to put somebody back. As soon as the ball's kicked, you have to cover. Well, what happens when we kick the ball? Everybody stands there watching the ball, you know, to see if we're going to make it. And then when we don't make it, they all start covering. Well, we were outflanked.
Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran it back 109 yards.
The dream of a 3rd consecutive BCS championship appears to have ended for Nick Saban.
Ultimately, I don't ever like to walk in a room and feel like we didn't give our guys the best chance to be successful.
Yeah, it's a terrible feeling. I've had a couple of those. You never get past those games.
And all you got to do is lose one game, and you're like, if I'm not motivated now, because you know, I know we both hate to lose.
Well, you've had the one undefeated championship team, right?
One.
And all the rest of them, you lost a game. Right. And we had that in 07, you know, we're 18-0. And in retrospect, it might have been better for us had we lost one somewhere along the way, you know, to win at the end, because really it's so much about how you play at the end of the season more than it is at the beginning of the season. So as much as you hate to lose that game when you're 10-0 or 8-0 or 13, whatever it is, sometimes in retrospect, that's not a bad thing, because it can refocus a good team, you know, towards, okay, we're mortal and we have to do things right, as opposed to just thinking that's always we're going to get a good bounce at the end somehow, and doesn't always work out that way.
It's amazing to me how people respond better when things go poorly than when things go well. I mean, I guess it's human nature. You know, it's no different than the salesman at the car dealership. You know, when he sells his 10 cars for the month, he's not motivated to set the record. He wants to go home and eat Tostitos and drink beer, you know, and watch TV. I mean, because he made his quota for the month. Survival is more human nature than it is to be special good. And to win a championship, you got to have a whole bunch of people that want to be special good. So,
yeah, you've always said that. I've learned that from you. It's hard to keep trying to achieve to the top level all the time. It's easy when you're down to bounce back, but it's hard to achieve it all the time.
Losing never stops hurting.
All right, there's really not much to say tonight. Obviously, we didn't do anything well enough to deserve to win. Certainly didn't coach well enough. Just didn't do anything well enough. So give them credit. They're better than we were tonight. Certainly the better team. And
having to answer questions about it afterwards only adds to the frustration.
He brought us up to just let those people have their opinions publicly, just keep ours to ourselves and keep our head down and not get off course.
We're on to Cincinnati.
Do you think having a 37-year-old...
We're on to Cincinnati.
I'd say one misconception about him is his lack of sense of humor, even in the press conferences.
Well, then we want to end on a high note? No problem. Go on a high note then.
There's a report out that Steven Jackson...
Let's just end on a high note.
You know, when he's talking to the media, it's another chance to get the message through to the players.
We need to improve and playing coach better next week.
We'll make the adjustments and hopefully be better next week.
I'm trying to get our players to listen to me instead of listening to you guys. You know, all that stuff you write about how good we are and all that stuff they hear on ESPN, it's like poison. You know what I mean? It's like taking poison, like rat poison.
The most honest person I've ever met. Never heard him tell a lie.
When somebody does something wrong, everybody wants to know, how are you going to punish the guy? All right, but there's not enough for 19 and 20-year-old kids, people out there saying, why don't you give them another chance?
You can tell over the years he's gotten a little bit less and less intense in the media. That wasn't right. He still is very intense, I shouldn't say.
We're going to try to win the game, and we're going to play the best players that we can play to win the game. And we're not assuming that it's going to be an easy game, and we're not assuming that we'll have opportunity just to play anybody that wants to play, to expedite anything except winning the game. So we're going to play everybody who can expedite winning the game. That's what we're going to do. So I don't think anybody should expect us to do anything else. Man.
Go. The media has come to expect the mood swings. Their players and staff have come to expect attention to detail in every aspect of every game. Whether Alabama is a 55-point favorite against New Mexico State, or the Patriots are underdogs in Super Bowl 53, where Bill Belichick worries about pregame weather, even in a domed stadium.
John,
Ladies and gentlemen,
now we're closing the roof, right?
Yeah. Supposed to be closed right at kickoff.
What does that mean? How about before kickoff?
No. They wanted to try to time the kickoff with the Oculus closing. I'm going to delay it a little bit. I would prefer that the roof be completely closed.
Because there's a wind factor now that
as soon as the flyover goes, it starts to close. How long it takes, I think it's less than 8 minutes.
What's the pop pass?
What they got in there?
And when Nick Saban's team is up by 52 points with 8 seconds left, mental errors are still unacceptable.
Hey, nickel.
Pony, nickel, 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 timeout, timeout, timeout. Will you pay attention? We're going to nickel. They sub late. Damn, man, you guys got no poise. 8 seconds to go in the game. We got to call timeout because we got 12 guys on the game. Have some pride about what you're doing. Let the guys run right down the field on you. Do your job.
Come on, boys. Win, compete, beat it.
You know, I'm never pleased. I'm not disappointed, but I'm not pleased. So we got a lot of things to work on. We got to work on trying to get better.
Goff takes it. Harmon out of blitz. Goff throws it to the right.
intercepted.
Gilmore's there. Intercepted at the 4.
Right there. Yes. That's it.
And the Patriots have won their 6th Super Bowl title.
You know, this is just a great day for our football team. Obviously, Mr. Kraft put this all together, but it's all about the players. These guys work so hard all year.
Even when football comes to a stop, the transition can be difficult.
One of the hardest parts of the year for me is the end of the season. Everything that everybody else has said, Coach, I didn't want to bother this with you during the season, but now that the season's over, what about this? What about that? Can we do this? Can we do that? You know, that's hard. And I appreciate them holding off until it's over, but then when it's over, honest to God, I feel like it's a tidal wave.
There was a long time when I could not get away. I could not relax. I could not separate. I could not think about it. We have a place at Lake Burton, which is in the mountains on the Georgia-North Carolina border. It's where they made Deliverance. That's the best thing I can say about it. All right, so there's not much there. That's been a salvation for me.
Yeah, I think for me, that probably the big part of that's been Nantucket. You kind of have to separate a little bit, and especially right after the season. It just, you're so drained. You're just emotionally just spent.
So I'm not the only one that gets that way.
No.
When my parents bought the property in Nantucket, they bought it with a Super Bowl bonus. It's a peaceful, relaxing place that he can be himself. He can do the things he loves to do. And that's a huge reset for him.
When he's on Nantucket, he's able to shut it down. It's one of the things I really admire about Bill is he can shut it down. He can be with family and be present.
It's the mountains, it's beautiful, the air is fresh, everything's crisp. I'll catch him watching film time and time again or reading over a recruit's profile, but kind of mellows out.
There's a quote by Marcus Aurelius that applies to both of them. The secret to all victory lies in the organization of the non-obvious. Vacation allows them to come back with different ideas. There's an idea you might have when you're out fishing that helps you see the non-obvious.
In 2014, Bill Belichick won a playoff game after seeing a non-obvious formation by Alabama earlier that season.
Derrick Henry is the running back.
Well, look at this odd formation. Players all over the field.
It's so difficult to recognize the eligibles in that formation, and especially if you do it fast.
LSU is confused. This guy's not even eligible right here, but he fakes a pass, and they free up the real tight end who was lined up as a tackle.
They get lined up backwards so they don't match the pattern right. And that's exactly what happened, in our game, and I think it happened later for the Patriots too.
How did Naval knew he gets so open down here? Well, it was a trick play. Vereen is ineligible.
I watch what they do. I study their schemes because I know if it's good enough for Nick and he's doing it, that it's probably good enough for me. I think that's something that Nick and I share. Create an advantage with your attack on the team without doing too much so that your team can't execute that plan.
As hard as it may be to achieve and sustain greatness, Saban and Belichick have done it throughout this decade. Since 2011, their teams have appeared in 11 of a possible 16 title games. With back-to-back wins in 2011 and 2012, Saban caught and temporarily surpassed Belichick for career titles as a head coach. But over the past 5 years, New England and Alabama have alternated championships, bringing each of their totals to 6. Now, in their 5th decade as coaches, they are capable of delivering a masterpiece every time their teams step on the field.
We just need everybody to do their job, all right? There's no new plays. You got to step up and challenge the line of scrimmage.
In 2014, Belichick's unparalleled preparation led to the last player on his roster making the last play of the game.
3, Malcolm, go!
Everything's important. It all matters. Plenty of games come down to one play. They come down to the last play. So when it's that close, what's the difference?
Wilson, quick throw. And it's good. Intercepted.
You try to put yourself and your team in the best position that you can to win. Wednesday practice, Malcolm got picked. The receiver went underneath and he couldn't get to him. It was an easy touchdown. So the coaching point was if they're close enough together, then you've got to be ready to get over the top. In the game, Malcolm anticipated the play that he didn't anticipate as well in practice, got there and, undercut the route.
Just an unbelievable turn with a rookie free agent out of West Alabama intercepting the ball on the goal line.
In the end, it really comes down to the players, and it was a great win for our team.
3 years later, Saban's calculated planning led to what may be the boldest and best coaching decision of his life.
This is the second largest deficit under Nick Saban that Bama has had at the half.
Would Nick Saban make the move to Tua Tagovailoa?
It wasn't like an emotional, in-the-moment decision. I knew going into the game, if we struggled throwing the ball, we may have to make this change. I wasn't looking to do it. I just said, if it happened that way. Well, we gave Jalen every chance, missed a couple throws that could have been big plays.
Throws it for the end zone, but over the head of Ridley. That's on Hurts. He had it.
It wasn't working. I just said, if we're going to have a chance to win this game, we need to give Tua a chance because we've got great skill guys on offense, and we're not utilizing them at all.
The freshman from Eva Beach, Hawaii, Tua Tagovailoa, is the quarterback for Alabama.
One of the things that makes Nick Saban great is he has strong conviction. He has strongly held beliefs. And for him to make that decision at halftime with a quarterback who's had so much success for him, but I think deep down he felt this is the move we need to make. He was able to convince his coaches and his players that this was the right thing, and they all responded the right way.
You can feel the momentum shift. Tua's brought an energy to this offense.
It was not a simple decision. I think it was, you're sitting there with a pretty good football team, and you're making a major change in what is the largest stage there is.
Here's Tua. He looks, stands in. Everybody's covered. He'll throw to the left side.
just has an instinctive flair about his play.
We're going to overtime. Here's Tua stepping back, loads up, looks long, throws, end zone, touchdown. Alabama and the Crimson Tide has once again ascended to the top of the college football mountain. Their 5th national championship in 9 years.
Oh, share some love, man.
Success isn't the only element that links these coaches.
What a night.
There's also their families and the struggle to find balance in a life that leaves almost no room for it.
I don't think you can invest as much as we have in terms of time and commitment to a standard of excellence and not say that it's been a sacrifice for everyone involved in supporting you from a family standpoint. Would that be a fair statement?
Definitely. I thought that being a coordinator, when I was a coordinator with the Giants, that was a really good balance. There was more family time. Coach Parcells had to deal with all the problems. And I really was, had I thought a better balanced life.
I think that even though my children probably at times, and Miss Terry, resented the fact that I spent so much time, trying to be successful, but I also think that they have a great appreciation for the time that you did have and that you did spend was good time. I think that's the most important thing.
It's a special moment for any daughter getting married to walk with her dad. I just feel really fortunate that I was able to do that with him, given what he does and how absent he is sometimes.
Those are precious moments that are bigger than any individual game or even season.
It's about as special as it gets, and I'll never forget that.
That moment, walking down the aisle and doing the father-daughter dance, that's my sacred moment with him.
For both men, it turns out football isn't everything after all. Maybe part of the art of coaching is once in a while appreciating everything else life can give you.
Those sweet moments were really awesome, but when he had his speech, the sentiment that really stands out to me was just how proud he is of me as a person.
On October 8th, 1984, we had a Monday night game when I was with the Giants. It's a brutal game. Down 28-1-0, 6 minutes into the game, and got hammered. But the shining ray of light that night, a little bit after midnight on the 9th, when Amanda came into the world. And
we are really, really proud of Kristen. She has been a blessing, in our life. She has a tremendous spirit, a tremendous grit about her that you just have to love.
she came into the world, and I was captured by her blue eyes, her smile, and it's been a true privilege, Amanda, to be your father. You've been a tremendous love, and so thank you.
And this is a wonderful day for her. But no matter what happens, she's always going to be my little Christabina.
AJ and Amanda.
Football has given them remarkable lives. But even through the greatest celebrations, each of them, as they head towards 70 years of age, are still looking for more. They are two sons of coaches, now grandfathers. Two ambitious assistants, now legends. Two masters of detail, still an inspiration to anyone who appreciates the art of coaching.
There's nobody I respect more in football than Nick Saban, and I don't think there's anybody that's a better coach than Nick Saban. What he's accomplished as a football coach, I mean, I think is unparalleled. I mean, I look up to him, I admire what he's done, and I've learned a ton from Nick.
I think that sometimes people have a real true love and respect for someone. You really love to see them have this success and continue to have this success, and I don't know how many people really could understand, that kind of relationship. And that's kind of how I feel about Bill. People always ask about how do you stay motivated or what keeps you going. I mean, every year we have a team. You're building a whole new team, a whole new chemistry. So the challenge is like starting over. Like this is the first year at Alabama.
And you're playing 12 other new teams.
12 other new teams.
Because whoever they were last year, they're not the same.
Yeah. So the challenge is always there.
100%.
All right, guys. Sorry we got practice today, so.
What time are you out there?
We start meeting with the players at 2, and we'll be on the field at 3:30.
You don't do squad meetings on the installs?
Yeah.
Oh, you do squad meetings?
The whole defense.
Oh, okay.
I don't do it. I don't represent.
Right.
But we're not having a team meeting today.
Yeah, I got you. So the zone coverage, do you do you move the gaps over?
We do 2 things. Anytime the jack walks, it turns into cut. Jack always goes away from the star.
Right.
All right, so we got pretty good run for us.
Yeah, that's great.
People think that a lot of the ideas of football come from the NFL, go down to college, and I think the best coaches are in the NFL, so I don't mean that way. But a lot of these things started in high school. RPOs started in high school.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, everybody who plays football because they love football. When you sign up for football, you sign up for the whole team. The purity of that, just playing for the love of the game, for the sport, for your teammate, for the team chemistry that comes with football. It's not as easy to get that anymore.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I hope we can both be fortunate enough to continue.
Yeah, absolutely.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports.